Hi Gemini, welcome to your Mercury retrograde in Aries special with me, Raphael Ray from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for joining me. Okay, so this is an interesting one for you guys because this is your planet, this little guy here, Mercury, who rules communication, who rules thought, the thought process, who rules short journeys, interactions with people, communication, ideas, communication as well being your social media, emails, text messages, letters, phone calls. It's how I say what I say, how you hear what you hear, how you don't hear what I'm actually saying, and how I don't actually say what you're hearing. Mercury going retrograde is that. It's the twisting of communication, not on purpose. It's just one of those times where the mind is so busy doing other things that it doesn't necessarily process information in the same way. That's kind of the way that I see it. And the sign of Aries is all about assertion. It's all about how you do what you do, how you present yourself doing what it is that you do. So this is going to be a really important one, and I'm doing a special on this because I feel like this one's going to be quite instrumental for a lot of people. I feel like it's going to be quite important going forward, and I really feel like it's going to lay a lot of the foundations of the changes that we implement for the rest of the year. So up until now, it's very much been kind of like everyone's just going full steam ahead. They're working to catch up after this and catch up after the holidays and and all the rest of it. And it's like now we finally start to get to a point where we can really implement some changes and start doing the work. Okay, so Mercury rules your sign, Gemini. It rules siblings, co-workers, colleagues. It also rules neighbors. It also rules people that we work with, people that we communicate with every single day. And your sign, Gemini, is one of the master communicators. That's why Gemini is your ruler. So this energy is going to be playing out really, really powerfully for you, especially given that if you are a Gemini or a Gemini ascendant, this is going to be happening in your 11th house, which is really interesting because the 11th house is all to do with groups. It's all to do with our tribe, or the tribe that we choose. It's the family that we choose because that's who our friends are. Our friends are the family that we choose. I've always believed that, and anyone that really knows me knows that my friends are my family, just as much as my family, because they've been there for me in some really, really amazingly awesome and really not so amazingly awesome times. So your friends are definitely the family that you choose. So the Mercury retrograde happening in your 11th house is going to start to give you the understanding, it's going to start to make you look at the groups that you associate with. It's going to start to make you look at the way that the group that you interact with or identify with is seen by the wider whole. So it's like, yeah, I'm a part of this group and this is who we are. And that's fine and that's great. That it's awesome to have people that we feel supported by and connected to. That's a part of life. It's part of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's one of the things that we truly need to be living a life of fulfillment. But how that group is viewed by the wider society is just as important, because the associations that group has is what people also see of you. So if your people are all bank managers who have come from a line of whatever extremely wealthy people, and those are the people that you associate with, that's what you're going to be seen with and associated with. If you hang around with a bunch of people that are constantly getting drunk and often doing drugs, that's what, even if you're not one of those people, but you just happen to hang around with those people, by association, by the group that you are a part of, those are the things that people are going to think, understand and communicate when they see you, because you are associated to that 11th house, the group. And so this is really going to give you a big understanding of, okay, how am I seen by the people that I interact with? And Mercury retrograde is a time to reflect. It's a time to go inward, to say, right, okay, what are my thoughts and feelings about this? What is my understanding about this? It's a time to reevaluate, a time to reassess, a time to redo. You know, this is, so if there are groups that you would like to be a part of, that you've thought about joining before and have never done it, now's the time to do your research to see if those groups and their ideals really fit with who you are. Now is the time to do personal research on yourself to get a good understanding of whether the group that you are currently in, or that you identify with or associate with, actually represent who you are now. And if not, then this happening in Aries is going to give you the energy, the impetus to make that change, to break away from it and say, actually, you know what, I love you guys, but I don't feel like one of you anymore. Or, you know what, I love you guys and I really want to be a part of that, and I want to know how I can do that. Well, the only way to do it is to really get clear on the foundations of your thought, of the foundations of how you view yourself, and really get to grips of understanding that. Sorry, I got this whole thing going on. And you know, this is giving you that experience. This is going to give you that chance to really really look deep within yourself and ask yourself the fundamental questions that you need to ask yourself. You know, also, like I said, the time of communication around a Mercury retrograde in general is always heightened, you know, and the the ability to misunderstand each other is already heightened. The fact that this is happening in Aries means that it can, especially with communications, especially with a Gemini, it can get quite intense. It could get moments where you will, it's interesting because I know a Gemini who's dated an Aries ascendant. I'm just thinking about how this is going to play out for them. So we don't want to be a fly on the wall when that goes south, but you know, there is a potential for that to happen. It may well clear the air, you know, and by you voicing this stuff and really getting clear on this stuff within yourself, and you then verbalizing it and vocalizing it, it may cause some sparks, but those sparks may be the thing that are needed to create enough fire to create the change that you want, that you value, that you will need in your life going forward. Okay, so let's see what the tarot has to say about this for you, Gemini. I would like to bless these cards. Oh gosh, they're flying left, right and center. Bless these cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance, and I pray that the message that comes through is ultimately clear and concise and helps you on your path to your highest vibrational good. Whichever one I pick up first, it was this one. Oh wow, I mean, look at that. You get the Sun card, and the Sun card is telling you that it's okay. It's actually all right. And you know what? There's not going to be any malice in this. There's not going to be any stress or anger about it. There will be words had. Absolutely. It's a Mercury retrograde. Let's, you know, be sure about what we're talking about. But the Sun card says that it's all done in purity. And that if you do part ways with people, groups or whatever, you'll go amicably. It will be an experience of parting ways in love instead of one of, you know, parting ways in but the Sun card also illuminates everything. You know, the Sun is currently in Aries as well, which is, you know, this is really interesting. I love the way that this stuff plays out. It's so interesting. And then what this kind of also really says to me is that, you know, you can trust that you are acting from a place that is moral. You can trust that you are acting from a place that is for the highest good of yourself and all the people that you interact with. Trust yourself and trust others, and let the light just, you know, just let it spill out of you, and let your group understand who you are and who you're trying to be. And I believe that, you know, whatever the interaction is that you have with them will either end peacefully or just grow and gain even more strength. You know, anything that's left after the retrograde in general is going to be amazing, you know, because it will have stood the test. Gemini, I wish you all the best of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you very soon for the monthly videos.